Muhammad establishes Islam. Arabs were a population inhabiting the Arabian Peninsula, which consisted mostly of desert. They were largely nomadic people, herding livestock, but farming was also developed in a few regions that had occasional rain. They believed in multiple gods. Around the 6th century, the Arab merchants developed new routes from the Arabian Peninsula up the coast of the Red Sea, when routes that they used before were cut off due to the confrontation between the Sunni and Persian Empire and the Byzantine Empire. The result was the growth of cities close to the Red Sea, such as Mecca and Medina. However, only a small number of merchants were able to build wealth, and most of the common people remained poor. They were also subjected to constant conflicts with other tribes who believed in different gods. During the social unrest, Muhammad, a merchant in Mecca, founded Islam after being influenced by Christianity and Judaism. Muhammad was widely welcomed by the lower-class people because he claimed everybody was equal in God, but he was persecuted by rich merchants of Mecca. So, he took his followers and moved to the city of Medina, 622. His flight from Mecca to Medina is called Hijra. After building his influence in Medina, Muhammad returned and conquered Mecca, and eventually unified most of Arabia under a single religion, 630.
What revelation did Muhammad receive from Allah? In Allah, both kings and slaves are equal. Anyone can go to heaven if they believe in Allah and act properly.
Islamic world expands and Umayyad dynasty is established. After Muhammad's death, the Arabs chose a caliphate to succeed him. A caliphate is an Islamic religious leader who had both political and military authority through the title of caliph. The Islamic forces built a large empire during this period by conquering the Sunni and Persian Empire and Egypt. The growing power of Islam resulted in growing internal conflict over the selection of caliphates, until it led to the assassination of the 4th caliph, Ali. The period between the selection of the first caliph and the assassination of the Shia Muslim caliph Ali is called the Rashidun Caliphate, 632 to 661. After the Shia Muslim Ali's death, the governor of Syria Muawiyah established the Umayyad dynasty, with its capital in Damascus in 661. Those who had believed that only Ali's descendants could become a caliph fled to Iranian regions. The Umayyad dynasty expanded its influence and occupied the Iberian Peninsula in Spain to the west, and the Pamir Plateau to the east until it shared a border with Tang of China. However, the Umayyad dynasty was criticized by people in the conquered regions for privileging Arabs, such as its policy of taxing non-Arabs even if they converted to Islam.
How are Sunni and Shia Islam different? After the death of Islam founder Muhammad, 632, Muslims clashed over how to choose his successor, splitting into Sunni and Shia Islam. Currently, Sunni are the majority of Muslims worldwide, accounting for 90%, and the remaining 10% are Shiites.
Abbas dynasty leads Islamic empire prosperity. Descendants of Muhammad's uncle Al-Abbas overthrew the Umayyad Caliphate and Shiites and non-Arabs and established the Abbasid dynasty, 750. The rest of the deposed Umayyad royal family established the Caliphate of Córdoba on the Iberian Peninsula, with Córdoba as its capital. The capital of the Abbasid dynasty, Baghdad, grew into a hub of economy and culture through dynamic commercial activities. The dynasty embraced a tolerance policy in which people could receive tax breaks when they converted to Islam, even if they were not Arabs, and Iranians and Turks were also allowed to be recruited as professional soldiers. The Abbasid dynasty defeated the Chinese Tang dynasty at the Battle of Talas, dominated east-west trade routes, and enjoyed thriving prosperity via international trade. Later, the power of the caliph grew weaker as the regional rulers obtained their independence. In North Africa, the Fatimid dynasty was established, thereby dividing the Islamic community into 3 caliphates, including the Caliphate of Córdoba. Later on, the caliph of the Abbasid dynasty was symbolically recognized only for its religious authority.
How do the relics of Córdoba and Granada relate to the history of the Islamic world? The Alhambra was built in the late 13th century by the Nasrid dynasty, Spain's last Islamic dynasty. In 1492, Isabella I of the Kingdom of Castile and Ferdinand II of the Kingdom of Aragon captured Granada, the last stronghold of the Nasrid dynasty. Thereby, the reconquista of the Iberian Peninsula from Islamic forces was ended. The Great Mosque of Córdoba was built in 785 by Abd al-Rahman I, the founder of the Caliphate of Córdoba, with the aim of constructing a mosque in Baghdad that was second to none. How did the Battle of Talas affect East-West cultural exchanges? By the time of the Abbasid dynasty grew in power, Tang was dominating China. Tang took the path leading to the west by exploiting a break in the weakening of the nomadic people who had obstructed trade with the west. Tang was expanding its power in this way and eventually collided with the Abbasid dynasty. The nomadic peoples who had fled to the west after being driven out by Tang asked the Abbasid dynasty for revenge, and the Abbasid dynasty sent troops under this pretext. Tang sent Kozonji, a general from Koguryo, who succeeded in 2 expeditions in the west. In 751, on the banks of the Talas River, the Tang forces fought Army of Islam fiercely for 5 days. However, as the Turk troops, which had allied with Tang, betrayed Tang, Tang's army was soundly defeated by the army of the Abbasid dynasty. When the Abbasid dynasty won the Battle of Talas, the supremacy of the Silk Road passed to the Islamic forces. In addition, Chinese papermaking techniques were spread to Islamic regions by captive Tang soldiers, which then spread to Europe and affected the Renaissance.